I promised I would talk about finances right away. It hadn't been right away. I apologize for that. So, there's four main stressors that I feel happen when you are diagnosed with cancer, when you deal with cancer, and they are emotional, mental, physical, and then finally financial. Talked a little bit about the mental, emotional, and physical with some side effects and things you can do, but we're going to delve into financial. And this is where, oh, it's just torturous, to be honest. You can find yourself, hopefully, either a social worker or a patient advocate that is at your cancer center, or if you're doing it through a hospital, at the hospital. See if they can help you, see if they can help you with billing, um, see if they know of any programs that might be available locally that you can get enrolled in. And those programs can range everything from just like a local cancer support center, which is where I have found success because I live extraordinarily rural and I don't have access to a lot of the perks that some of the bigger organizations, such as the American Cancer Society, Triple Negative Breast Cancer Association, all those out there. So I lucked out very, very much so with the Gina Quisenberry Foundation. They are located in Lewiston, Idaho, and they take care of women that are in the Lewis and Clark Valley, which I'm in that valley, so that worked out for me. They gave me significant amount of financial support when I was first diagnosed and then when I was re-diagnosed with metastatic. So if you have a lot of money and you want to donate, give me some. No, just kidding. But that is a great group. And I have that in my link tree. Another one that worked really, really well for me was a group called Cancer Can't. And they again are just a local group located in Spokane, Washington. And they help me oh so much with rooms. And that becomes really expensive when you're driving 3.5 hours one way, getting a brand new treatment, getting scans, having to meet doctors. You have to spend the night. And hotel rooms aren't cheap, gas isn't cheap, food isn't cheap. So all these things start to kind of add up. And if some of it can be alleviated, your stress level is going to go down. And so that's what I ended up doing. I did Google search a lot of things. Some places, especially if you're in a bigger city, will offer like free home care. Like somebody will come, Mary Maids or whomever, and clean your house for nothing. You could have pet sitters for nothing. You could get a ride to your clinic and home for nothing. Uh, there could be free food delivery. There's a lot of options. Just for me, they don't work because, you know, I'm 80 miles from the nearest city, so to speak, and more than that from a significant sized city like Spokane or Missoula. But if you're living somewhere like Chicago or Florida, Fort Myers, Miami, New York, like look them up. I bet you can qualify. Another thing is you can qualify for some grants if you make too little money. And the grants will help offset some of your medical costs and or just living expenses. So there's a lot of options out there for those where you can just apply, see what happens. The biggest issue is usually they have closing dates. And so you want to kind of figure out when those are open and get it in immediately because it's a lot of time a first come first serve until they're out of money. So that's another thing to look into. The third thing to look into is your bills. What are you being billed for? And I learned this lesson the very, very hard way. And I'd never been sick and never broke a bone, had a kid, still my tonsils, still my appendix. So I didn't really understand that the hospitals could be so drastically different in how they bill. And so, if you have the opportunity, I would highly advise that you shop around. get price quotes, talk to people in billing, ask them how they bill out these certain, procedures. So I'm just going to give an example for me, well, a couple of examples. One was I went in, got my lumpectomy, in and out surgery. I think I just talked about that. One surgeon, didn't spend the night, and I was on my way. That bill for me, and I have decent insurance, FYI, was close to $2,000 for in and out. I went to a different hospital to get my double mastectomy with full reconstruction, a deep flap, DIEP flap reconstruction. I was in surgery for over 8 hours. I had 3 surgeons working on me, and I stayed in the hospital for 5 days. My total bill for that was $900. Whoa, what a difference. If the other hospital, if I would have gone to get my lumpectomy at my second hospital, I guarantee the cost would have been like $100 to maybe at most $150. So that's example one of just how drastically different a hospital can be. And for me, it is worthwhile to drive another hour and 45 minutes from hospital one to hospital two based on the quality of care and the cost. You might think, well, why? Gas is expensive. It's not $1,000 expensive to go another hour and 30 minutes or hour and 45. So the other thing is I was getting billed for an injection that I needed to take post chemo to help boost my white blood cells up. It was expensive. I mean, I'm talking like out of pocket $1,600. I looked it up on my insurance pharmaceutical pay plan, and the copay on that was like $25. And I brought it up to my oncologist, and he flat out said, oh, well, they're used to billing for Medicare. They're not used to somebody that has insurance. He's like, let me just write you a prescription. Well, that would have been nice to know, like $3,200 earlier. And I brought it up to the finance team because I'm like, this should have never been done like this. And they were able to get me enrolled in a pharmaceutical copay for that and back pay them. So that's another thing that, either the budget team, the billing team that's wherever you're attending, your patient advocate, they can help you find some of those other resources, especially to help offset those extraordinarily expensive chemical drugs you're getting, chemo, immunotherapy. I'm not sure what else folks are on. Those are the 2 big ones that I'm on. And so that I would highly recommend looking at that. The last thing when it comes to finances is that, a lot of people put GoFundMe pages out there. My husband hates that idea because he thinks we can manage on our own. But I have had friends put one up for me in the past. And, don't feel bad. Like people are giving you money because they care about you and they want to help you in any way possible. So, my husband was all like, well, we're going to go on vacation. How bad does that look? Somebody gave us $100 and now we're going to go to Mexico. Well, your mental health is just as important as, your financial health. And sometimes you just got to say, you know what? I want to travel somewhere that doesn't require a doctor visit. And for me, for several, almost 2 years, it felt like that's all I did. I just went to medical. I'd spend the night in Spokane and maybe go out for a movie or dinner. But it was all for medical. There was no other reason for me to go. And so, you know, don't feel bad if people want to give you money, want to give you, a break in your life and say, hey, I'm going to get us a hotel. I'll pick you up. We're going to go spend a weekend somewhere. Take advantage of it. You got to look out for you, the whole self of you. And I know financially, I know I have become just a hermit. Like, I don't really have the money to spend. Yet then I sit on Amazon and do a lot of online shopping. But those are kind of the big things. And the billing, when you get what's called an EOB, explanation of benefits, if you have insurance or Medicare or Medicaid, you will get an EOB and it will show what the hospital or the clinic or the doctor is charging, what they'll cover, and what you're responsible for. Do not pay a bill until you have that EOB in hand. And if the EOB shows something was denied, either call your insurance company or call the clinic, the hospital, whatever that billed that. See if they put a wrong code down, see why that got denied. But I know that I'm the type of person I just want to get a bill paid, get it off the record and not think about it. But a lot of times these less than favorable hospitals or clinics will bill you immediately before insurance has even cleared anything because they want their money. And if you pay it in full, they may or may not send you money back. And if they do send money back, it could be months later when you really need the money. And they just may not. They might just leave it as a credit on your account. And so you're going to have to call them and say, you need to cut me a check. I overpaid because insurance is now cleared and insurance is covering all this stuff. So keep those in mind. Like, just don't blindly pay things because you got a bill. Look it over. Does it match what you were getting? Do you understand what's on there? If you don't, call your patient advocate, call the billing department, talk to them. The final thing is with the billing department, you may be able to negotiate a lower rate. So if your bill is $1,500 and you're like, it shouldn't have been billed this way, da 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 da, go in and talk to them and say, hey, look at my EOB. You've already gotten $27,000 for my insurance. Do I really need to pay the full amount of $1,500? You got what you needed. You would be amazed at some of the answers and responses you might get by just doing that. Be prepared to pay something, like don't think they're just going to wipe it out, but they may decrease it significantly because they do recognize they are getting the money they need for whatever procedure you went through. So those are the big ones. I do have a Venmo account. I hate asking, but I will try to put it on my link tree when I post this. So thank you for listening. This Chemo Port Girl, and I hope everybody is happy, healthy, and well. Talk to you later.